you're a cheater,
bro. I think
And now, a three-time sports editor, former online and managing editor, and host of Talk That Talk, award-winning journalist Terrell Chatterbox Emerson.
Welcome to it. Welcome to it. It is 10 o'clock on a Thursday night, so you guys know what time it is. It is time for Talk That Talk. I am your host, Terrell Chatterbox Emerson. It's your Thursday installment, your second episode of the week, episode 23 of season 7, episode 350. I lied. One episode away from 350. Monday will be episode 350 of the Talk That Talk radio show. It's a Thursday night, so I'm in studio with Markel Collins. Markel, what's good with you, brother?
Glad to be back once again. I mean, I'm never not happy to be up in here. Every time I walk in this amazing studio, it's just like I really get to do this every week. Pretty crazy, but yeah, happy to be here, man. Ready to talk some sports as usual.
Yeah, man, you kind of just talked about it right now, but we're getting right to it. I do have, I'm not going to say a wild way that I want to start the show, but the start of this show is going to be a little bit different. Just from the standpoint of, first of all, I can tell what type of show this is about to be because when I was getting our YouTube link up to Instagram, and then you heard that random is Michael Chandler a cheater. The fuck? What is Michael Chandler? What does that have to do with anything that I'm doing? But that was actually me getting the post up to Instagram and a random UFC video started. So there goes that. Again, thank you guys for tuning in to your Thursday episode of the Talk That Talk radio show. I'm Terrell. That's Markel. He was just talking about the studio, and this building as a whole is here at the Harry Reid Research and Technology Park here on Sunset, here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I keep saying Nevada, and that's going to piss me off.
As a Nevada native.
Watch your mouth. See, stop. This is, relax. Just relax.
Hey, you sensitive?
We supposed to be, you want to be sensitive over Vegas? Or over Nevada as a whole?
I'm going to just take Las Vegas because.
Okay, all right. Because you've been to Reno just like I have. So
I've actually never been to Reno.
And there's probably a reason for that. Again, this show is shot from the beautiful studio here at the Harry Reid Research and Technology Park. I will never miss an opportunity to take a shot at Reno. Never gonna happen. Not gonna happen. But yeah, man, let's get right to it. I got a tip in from my mom. I have so many places that I want to start this show, but I'll start with this. I was being a child in my room, like before I came to the show, right? I'm in my room, and for some reason I end up sitting on the ground. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I think to sit on the ground originally, I went down to my left knee. And my left knee has been bothering me for the last like 2 months, right? And I hyperextended my right one back in high school, and I was supposed to have surgery on it, and I never did it. I always felt like once you have one knee surgery, you have multiple knee surgeries. So I was like, hell no, you're not going to cut on my knee and I'm 16. Not going to happen. So that's my right knee, right? My left knee has been feeling like, and the funny thing is, when you endure some injuries in general, you kind of know when something's not right. And anytime somebody asks me, like, what's wrong with your knee? I just smile hard as hell because I just hope that I don't need surgery. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I remember when I tore my Achilles, and did I tell you the story? Do you know how I tore my Achilles?
Aren't you hooping?
I was hooping. So, but my dumbass bit on a jump shot, which yeah, you could bite on a jump shot, whatever. That does happen occasionally, right? Whatever, that happens. jumping off of 2 feet and trying to land on one and pivot. First of all, that doesn't even make sense when you say it. Like, let alone try to do it. So you got to think about it. If I bid on a pump fake, he's going around me. So as I'm in the air, I'm like, shit, I got to come down and I got to go react. So as I'm coming down, I'm like, I'm going to try to hit and turn. I hit and my leg slid all the way in front of me. And the funny thing is, when it slid all the way in front of me, it locked my leg locked. I remember vividly saying, ooh. Like, and the funny thing is, we talk about players being mic'd up. If I would have had a moment to have a mic on me, you guys would have heard that. My only response was, ooh. It didn't feel right because my leg fully hyperextended. I go down, I go straight to my knee. Nope, feels good here. Go down to my ankle, everything feels good. I go try to run, I can't do it. I tightened my shoe because I think I twist my ankle. I tightened my shoe. Boom. They needed 2 points. They got the 2 points quick as all hell. I found out the next day I tore my Achilles. When I told my doctor how I tore my Achilles, he was like, does your hip hurt? And I was like, nah. And he was like, you essentially jackhammered your leg into the ground. And I was like, okay. He was like, so not to scare you, but after this torn Achilles, I think you might have blew your meniscus or your patella. And he was like, I won't know until we heal this one. I tore my Achilles 6 years ago. 7 years ago now. So I went down to one knee, dog. It was that left knee. Boy, I let out a yipe like Spade. It was one of them. I was like, what the hell is happening? Bro, I can't put no weight on my knee. Oh, bro. And all I could do is laugh because I'm just like, oh, I know the doctor is going to look at me and be like, you've been walking on this joint? I know it's bad, brother. I know it's bad. I don't even want to know how bad at this point.
I'm going to keep it real. The older I get, like, these recreational hoops scare me more and more, even with the minimal insurance I do have. But, it definitely scares me. I had one of my brothers, he actually tore his Achilles like this past year.
Oh, damn.
My other brother tore his ACL and meniscus a couple years ago. So I'm like, am I just next in line? Do I just
knock on wood, knock on something?
I'm like, do I just jump out earlier? Do I just stop it here? Like, because they both took a fall, and you just tell me that story. I'm like, do I just need to stop hooping right now? But yeah, I don't know, man. All them LA Fitness type hoop sessions. Hey, be safe out there, guys.
1000%. And trust me, we're getting to the show in a second. We got a lot of news to get to. The Knights got to win tonight. We got the Nighthawks to discuss in a second. We have the Aviators to discuss in a second. We got a lot to get to in a second. But you guys know how these radio shows, especially these Thursday ones, typically start off. The funny thing is, based on what you just said, I haven't really hooped like since that injury, and I was like, damn, is that the end of it?
Smart man.
And
smart man.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I sat up for a little bit and I was like, cool. I'm going through my full rehab, right? I get through the rehab. I'm in the gym and I'm like, I'm just gonna shoot. And I'm cleared to play at this time. So this is about 11, 12 months from my injury, maybe 12 months from my injury. And I could say a year. My bad. Well, I guess it is 11 months because it was December and I tore it in late January. So it was probably 11 months. I'm in the gym and I'm getting up shots in the rec center. You know how it is. Hey, we running fives. We need one more. I look away. I was like, hey, you're not talking to me. I hear it again. Huh? You need what? They said they need one more. And I had somebody in the gym with me at the time, and I looked over at her, and I was like, no. And I gave her a look because I'm going to do it. So I gave her a look, and I was like, all right. Like, so at this point, I've accepted it. Whatever happens is going to happen. I go out there to go play. I come down, and obviously you've never seen me hoop. I don't think I've ever seen you hoop. So I come down the first time down. I dribble right to the right elbow, and everybody backing off. I pull up. Water. I looked over at the sideline at her and was like, that was the first one. We come down, whatever happened. Come down the next play down, I hit a corner three. In my mind, I was like, I don't care if I never play again after this game. I tore my Achilles. I came back. I hit my first 2 shots. That's it. That's all that matters. That's all I care about. That's all. I haven't hooped since then. I don't think that was there. That was 2019.
I don't blame you.
Bruh, I'm not risking this damn Achilles no more. But let's get to it, man. Let's get to my mom's tip in. My mom sent a pretty dope one tonight. Don't blame a clown for acting like a clown. Ask yourself why you keep going to the circus. We'll get to that and what that means a little bit later in the show. But as we open this up by kind of talking about injuries, I want to open this up also by giving a round of applause to my mom. At this point, I'm going to be completely honest. My mom has so many surgeries that I don't really even talk about them until they happen. My mom had a back surgery yesterday. Yesterday, I believe it was. Everything's fine. Shout out to my mom. Everything's fine. Shout out to her. Shout out to the doctor. Shout out to everybody in there. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I had that little knee situation, right? Tore my Achilles, whatever the case may be. My mom calls me after the surgery, checking on her. We're talking. We're back and forth. This woman tells me that she wakes up in the middle of the surgery. Not middle, but like toward the end of the surgery. Because my mother has had so many surgeries, I'm like, she didn't have a wrist surgery. I'm like, she didn't have a toe surgery. This is the back. Based on how she wakes up, and if she wakes up in shock, that person is already near her spine. My mom woke up. Procedure was supposed to be 2 hours. I believe it was max 2 hours. Supposed to be an hour and a half, 2 hours. They were about at 2 hours when she woke up. They gave her a little bit more medicine, obviously for anesthesia, obviously for her to go back to sleep. At first, before they even do that, they keep working. And they're telling her that she has to stay still because obviously they're almost done. They don't know how awake she is, how alert she is. She makes a grunt, probably the same grunt that I made before I left the house. And they was like, nah, give her more. So they gave her more. She went out. She woke up again, dog.
Mama G, man. The 2 surgeries I did
Bro, what
have.
are you doing?
The 2 surgeries I did have, man. It's like I seen the doctors. They, they give you a laughing gas too. It's like I was laughing at them, saying some crazy stuff. Then next thing you know, I'm getting woke up in the recovery room. Like,
You don't like that feeling. Imagine getting choked out in a cage. It's probably the exact same way you wake up looking at your corner man like, what happened? No. What happened? Everybody stop touching me.
what?
I woke up from my tonsil surgery and thought somebody stabbed me. I was convinced. I woke up from my tonsil surgery and was like, my mom was like, breathe. I was like, oh, I can't. She was like, dog, breathe. So shout out to my mom, man. Like I say all the time, I don't know a stronger human, man. Shout out to Oli. But let's get to it, man. Let's talk a little sports. 2-1 victory for the Vegas Golden Knights tonight over the Seattle Kraken. Couple different things that we can kind of assess about this game. I know you coming in here fresh off of work. We appreciate you guys. If you guys are watching on YouTube, we thank you guys for watching on YouTube. If you would like to, all you have to do is go to YouTube, go to the search bar, type in Talk That Talk Radio Show. It's pretty much the same across every platform. That would be Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Twitter is the one thing that's different. Twitter is at Talk That Talk LV. Once again, our Twitter is at Talk That Talk LV. But let's get to it, man. 2-1 victory for the Knights tonight over the Kraken. Going back to that Calgary game, and obviously since Vegas has reacquired him, Riley Smith and William Karlsson have continued to be a great tandem. They teamed up tonight on a goal. William Karlsson scored in addition to Ivan Barbashev. There's 5 Golden Knights with 20 or more goals, and your captain, Mark Stone, is a goal away from hitting 20.
That's why we top 5 in the West. I mean, one of the better teams.
Matter of fact, let me look at the standings.
I mean, when you're going against a team that's out of the playoffs like that, I mean, that's I don't know if you want to say concerning, but I guess you would expect them to put up more points in a game like that. Granted, it's the end of the season. They got 3 games after this left in the season. So.
All right, you're spoiling my rundown. How dare you?
So I mean, it's playoff time. I always wonder, like, just in any sport, like where players' heads are at, especially like in the NBA, NHL, like where their heads are at because they play 80+ games every year. Like,
I don't hear you talking about baseball players.
well,
Never mind. We'll get to that later.
yeah, that's
My fault.
ain't no sport like that. But yeah, like just towards the end of the season, like this, especially when you're a playoff team, like kind of where is everybody's heads at? Is it kind of like more so like, all right, let's coast in, or like let's go in hot? So, I'm kind of curious, like where their heads is at. I know they kind of like up one, down one, up one, down one these past few games. So, kind of curious where they're at right now.
Excuse me. I also think it depends on where you are in the standings, right? So you kind of just talked about it a second ago. Vegas is a top 3 team in the West. And that matters, obviously, around this time of year, right? Going back to a point that you made about you would hope that a team like this, or against a team like this, you would go out there and have kind of one of your bigger offensive nights. I do think what's interesting is, regardless of whether this team is in the postseason hunt or not, that coach is going to implement something, right? And I know we don't cover the Seattle Kraken, but this is, shout out to Isaiah Torres, who covers the Vegas Golden Knights for us. If you go back and look, the game before this for Seattle was on the road and Seattle was in Utah. They give up 7 goals to Utah. That's a franchise record for Utah. I'm pretty sure their head coach is like, damn it, if I see 3 or 4 on the board, I'm going to lose it. So there goes that for Seattle, right? They go out there. They actually gave it the first 2 goals. So they gave it the first 2 goals, and I want to give you the time on the second one so I can tell you guys how the Golden Knights actually ended the game scoreless for the final 33 plus minutes. So for the final 33 plus minutes, Vegas went without a goal. They jumped out to an early one, or to a 1-0 lead rather, in that first period on the Ivan Barbashev goal. William Karlsson's goal about 8 minutes into the second period went ahead and took them up 2-0. Do you have anything else on the Knights right now, or about this game rather, or the team, however you want to go about it?
Nah, not right now. We got 3 games left, man. We know it's playoff time. I just want to see how they finish these last 2 games off.
And I'm happy that you said that, because going back to a point that you just made a second ago, I think it depends on where you are in the standings. Because when I was talking about Vegas being the top 3 team in the West, I think it depends on where you are in the standings, because let's just say there was a team top 3, West, East, however you want to put it, right? Let's look at a team like Washington. If Washington started to slide 2 games ago and things are starting to get let's say 3 games, 4 games ago, and things start to slide the last 6, 7 games of the regular season, that might become one of those points where you be like, let's just get there. Like, obviously you want to try to build some sort of momentum. If you're 1-6 in the last 7 going into the playoffs, you're going to feel how you feel. If you're 0-7, you're going to feel how you feel, right? So on and so forth. I feel like what's interesting about this nice team, like we said before, and we've kind of said all season long since the team experienced it, that January was an ugly January, and no matter how this season ends, that's what this team can always go back and reflect on, even with its ups and downs. In any other month, no month was like it was like January was for this group. Speaking of it being 3 games left, the regular season home finale is next Saturday night from the Fortress. Nashville in the building. Predators, Golden Knights, 7 p.m. is the scheduled puck drop. Like Markel just said a second ago, 3 games remaining in the Golden Knights regular season. 48, 22, and 9 on the year. Good for 105 points. They are first in the Pacific Division. They are third in the West as a whole. The LA Kings sit behind the Knights in the Pacific Division, 99 points. And then right behind the Kings, you have the Edmonton Oilers with 95 points. And you also have Calgary fighting for a playoff spot at the bottom of those 3. Speaking of Knights, let's get to another Bill Foley investment. You covered your first Nighthawk game of the season on Monday. Am I lying? Saturday. No.
Sunday.
Damn it. Sunday. Told you all of these days run together at this point. This is summertime, and a lot of times people get free around summertime. It's the exact opposite for me. I have about 3 more weeks before I really got to start focusing in on the aces, and then I'll have aces and aviators every week. So there goes that, and that'll be what my schedule looks like until September. And then shout out, thank God for Justin Russo for being able to cover the first couple of weeks of UNLV football for me, because man, oh man. But you covered your first Nighthawk game of the season. It was a 36-19 loss, a loss that we kind of talked about on Monday, but obviously you were not in the building. What was your takeaway from the first game that you saw?
It was quite shocking.
Well, I don't know if you saw the first one. I apologize. The first game that you covered. My apologies.
Yeah, no, it was quite shocking compared to the first game in terms of offense. I mean, I really felt like they picked it up in the second half of that first game. Well, obviously, they had the comeback, but I thought that momentum they found on the offensive side of the ball was going to carry over into the next game. But it just seems like Jacksonville just kind of had their number on the offensive side of the ball. It seems like they just couldn't move the ball, or couldn't run the ball. Really, it just seemed like nothing, like literally nothing was clicking for him. So, I mean, but yeah, in terms of the defensive side of the ball, yeah, Coach Mike Davis definitely wasn't happy with the defensive side of the ball either. Yeah, I talked to him in the post game. I asked him, what would he grade the defensive side of the ball? He said an F.
Damn.
It's kind of shocking, but I was like, because at first,
Mike is so not shocking.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, yeah, no, because
Mike is hilarious, man.
Because he'll give you a quote like that, and you're like, do I use that? Or like, you like,
as a reporter, you love him.
Yeah.
As a reporter, you love him, right? So you can't shame Mike for being the person that we want these media members to, or that we want these athletes and coaches to be. But that's a pretty fair assessment. I mean,
yeah.
What do you want me to say?
Yeah, I tried to. Yeah, I was like, because I prefaced the question. I was like, granted, defense didn't play too well tonight, but it was definitely an improvement from last game. And yeah, I asked him to grade it out, and yeah, he gave me an F. So I was like, all right, you know what? Yeah. So I'm
so glad I wasn't on that phone call, because I was gonna say, even in the W, is that back-to-back F grades for the defense? Because I just want to know.
I would guess so, but yeah, no, he followed that up by saying, like, you can't point to one person on the offensive side of the ball, and granted, like, the team's not going to be who they are right now. Like, it's week 2, like, the team is still finding out who they are. He really just wants the guys to respond in the next game. That's what he's really looking forward to. So, big game tomorrow, second game against San Diego tomorrow.
Already.
I definitely expect them to play a lot better, but yeah, like, San Diego is one of those teams that you expect to be competing in the West towards the end of the season. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking to see how they respond. Obviously, San Diego's going to want some get back, especially after that first game. So, home opener, I think it's going to be great.
I just found out, I don't know why I didn't register. Same thing that happened last week. I looked up and I was like, this game is at 7. I don't think Markell is going to be able to catch this game. So, going to be honest with you guys, either myself or Markell Collins will be in the building tomorrow at Lee's Family Forum for the home opener for the Vegas Nighthawks, week 4 for a home opener. If I'm Mike, I'm calling the commission. Hey, I know we got the bye week 1. Hey, do me a favor. Why are we playing our home game now? They opened the year on a Monday, so I guess that's to their benefit, right? But then they played that next game on a short week. So I don't know, man. A lot of things don't seem like they favor the Nighthawks rather, to start the season. But on the flip side, they kind of went through their rough patch in the middle of the season, maybe toward the middle latter part of the season last season. We'll see how everything shapes up for this group now. This group, as I mentioned before, similar to the Aviators, they're a little interesting to me, because I don't want to jump too far out there, but I do believe the highest possible level this team can accomplish, and I kind of feel that with the Aviators as well. But obviously a 1-1 start, if you ask Mike, aside from 15 minutes in that first game, could have been an 0-2 start. But obviously it is what it is. This team is looking at a 1-1 record. Currently currently locked in the 3-way tie for second place in the West. You guys know how it is. We're 3 weeks in, so things are early, but things are kind of looking up for this IFL season.
I feel like for this team, like I kind of look at them like another team out here. Like before the Aces kind of started their run of championships, they were this young team who couldn't figure it out. Like they had this star with Asia, but like she wasn't necessarily dominating the league yet. But like you kind of seen something there, and then they finally figured it out, and then they started winning. But when it came to the postseason, they didn't know how to win yet. And I feel like that's probably what we're going to see with the Nighthawks now. Like last year was the first year ever just winning at such a high level. But when it came to the playoffs, it's new territory. You don't necessarily know how to win in those situations.
Game starts to slow down a little bit.
You
I don't know
know?
if that's even possible in the IFL, but
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you know, like I feel like they got the same situation. They got the MVP in Jerome. That was a big stage, first time there. But now I feel like, okay, year two, you got the expectations on you now. What are you guys gonna do? And I feel like now is kind of that time. I feel like after week 5, after their first 5 games, we're gonna kind of know which direction this team is going in. Now, granted, the IFL is crazy. You know, things can turn around in week 18, like because it's just that crazy in this league. But I feel like this team is kind of like heading that right direction. I feel like they, you know, just all the pieces they brought back from the wide receiver core, running back as well, Brandon Wimbush. I feel like the whole team is just gonna click. So I think we'll expect some good things. But home opening tomorrow, let's see how it shakes out.
I think, excuse me, I think Vegas. You think Vegas skates into the playoffs, or you think Vegas is one of those teams last 2 weeks that still is kind of fighting for a spot?
I think they skate into the playoffs.
Which is what these obviously the IFL has the amount of teams that it has. Is it 12? Frisco's not playing this year. See, that's always different too because teams are dropping out year to year. But the Nighthawks are in a situation where I feel like you just said before, they can be perennial playoff teams. Or they can be a perennial playoff team. I think if that were to happen for this group, as you said before, the next step, especially this season, if they go ahead and get to 8 wins relatively early in the year, I do think early in their schedule, I do think that it could provide an opportunity for this group to, like you said before, it became one of those things where, okay, we're not fighting for the playoffs. Like we know that's in our back pocket. We should do that. That should be the minimum. How do we win in the playoffs, right? So football is always interesting. Like you said before, it can switch. And then you talk about teams getting hot toward the end of the year. I'm pretty sure Mike Davis would start the year with a frigid 1-1 and then end the year maybe the way they started last year. So we'll see what happens. As we mentioned before, home opener tomorrow. They opened last season with a 7-0 record before taking their first loss. So the Nighthawks are looking to pick up their second win in their first 3 games of the 2025 season. Speaking of first, the Aviators suffered their first loss of their El Paso series tonight. They won their first 2 games, and then they dropped their third game tonight. They dropped it in a walk-off. So I have my notes. And first of all, I probably shouldn't. This isn't what I wanted. Shout out to Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm trying to like score these games even when I'm not at them, right? And I printed out lineup cards because I didn't want the traditional baseball scoring card. And this isn't what I wanted. But nevertheless, I got my notes on the back. I got everything on the front. First of all, you want to give me an update on the Aviators, or not an update. What you're feeling about the Aviators really quick. 7 wins in their first 10 games. Had a 3-game win streak before their loss tonight. And then I'll get into specifics.
I feel like it's what I said before the season. I feel like they can really compete in the PCL this year. Like I feel like it's one of those years. You know, like I said, I feel like for the major league team, it's kind of a bad place for them to be. But like in terms of the AAA team, I feel like they're in a great position because they got all this young talent, and you know, most likely they're going to keep most of their players for like a majority of the season. So I feel like they really got a chance to compete for it. So, when it's 7 out of 10 games start the year off, I mean, can't really complain about that.
So, why did I drink water and my voice got worse? Did you hear that? Sounded like Goofy for a second. Anywho, remember when I told you about Mike Davis? What the hell?
Too many coaches.
Way too many. Remember when I told you about Fran Reardon and I had the conversation with Fran about that Reno loss, and I was like, even when this team is losing, I'm losing by a lot. Like, this team is barely losing at this point. You never want to lose, right? But you're also not going to go 162-1. I mean, no. So tonight, when I explain, first of all, shout out to you, right? Because you're one of the few people who know the way that I structure stories. So typically, I try to think of stories, and well, everyone is different, but in terms of baseball stories, I try to think of them in like 3 points, right? So the first point is the walk-off loss. The second point would be Mason Burnett, which was the starter tonight. Highly regarded prospect in the organization for the Athletics. His third straight no decision. I'm going to get to some numbers on him really quick in a brief second. And then this team had an early lead tonight, and it had a late rally. I'm going to start with the walk-off, and then you tell me where we go from there. Fair?
Fair.
The walk-off only is 1 point because it happened 3 pitches into the ninth inning. And the interesting thing is, I told you guys before, I feel like just in terms of me being a nerd, in terms of professional sports, I'm probably a basketball guy and then a baseball guy. Because of that, I find it interesting when guys swing at pitches. Like, there are some guys who you throw anything near the zone for that first pitch, they're going to swing, right? If I recall correctly, I'm going to get half of these mixed up. If I recall correctly, Mike Trout usually swings at the first pitch. I'm trying to remember if Vlad Guerrero swung at the first pitch. I think Juan Soto almost always takes the first pitch. Shohei usually swings at the first pitch late in game. So it's like, it's always just weird, right? So I pay attention to things like that. 3 pitches in to the ninth inning, relief pitcher Tyler Baum served up a solo home run to Trenton Brooks. And the reason why I'm saying that name, you guys know very rarely do I say opposing names unless you guys should know him. Trenton Brooks is a former Aviator. So he sent the Aviators packing in the first victory of the series for El Paso. He does it in walk-off fashion. Like I said before, he hits a home run. Tyler Baum actually falls to 0-2 on the year. His ERA is just over 13.5, or just about 13.5. So not the best start to the season for Tyler. Do you want to talk about Mason next, or do you want to talk about this team's early lead and late rally?
Early lead, late rally.
All right, so I feel like everything in terms of offense starts with Wake Forest product Nick Kurtz for this group. Nick Kurtz, 3 batters into the game, gave the Aviators a 1-0 lead on an RBI single that drove in teammate Daryl Hernandez. Vegas was up 2-0 by the end of the first, almost that period. By the end of the first inning, they ended up falling behind, right? Falls behind. Vegas is down 6-3 heading into the 7th. Vegas starts to chip away at it. 2 runs in the 7th inning, makes it 6-5. Top of the 8th inning, talk about leadoff home runs. Former Kansas City Royal property, CJ Alexander hits his 2nd home run of the season to tie the game at 6 apiece in the top of the 8th inning. Here's what's interesting. El Paso had an opportunity to take the lead, possibly for good, in the bottom of the 8th. They had back-to-back 2-out singles. The runner was out at home. So an inning later, they get the walk-off victory. Obviously, plenty to talk about just from that standpoint. But that, again, kind of was what it was, right? Now do you want to talk Mason Barnett?
Let's do it.
So Mason Barnett, again, is a top prospect for the Athletics, right? And 3 series in, 3 starts, has yet to pick up a win. I was looking at some numbers tonight. The numbers aren't necessarily great, but the numbers also, if you've watched Mason pitch, it doesn't feel like, I guess it's as bad as the numbers appear to be. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. But remember that 2-0 lead that I told you that Vegas had at the end of one?
Uh-huh.
That was gone by the bottom of the second. El Paso scored 4 runs off of Mason Barnett in the second inning. Eventually, they took that, 5-3 lead before he left the mound. He leaves the mound. He gives up, another run is charged to him when Tyler Dodson enters the game. But in terms of my number punching, Mason Barnett in 3 starts has an ERA of 7.50. As I mentioned before, he has 3 straight no decisions. He's given up 10 runs in 12 innings. And again, this is the PCO, so things can look a little inflated in certain moments, right? But I just think it's interesting to note that this is going to be one of your bigger storylines this season, how he performs in AAA. And a lot of times, and we've seen it for years, for decades, for generations in baseball, starting pitchers, sometimes they'll have an ERA of 2.89 and they'll have an 11-12 record. How the hell is that possible? Their team probably sucks. That's how that's possible. That's just the way things shake out sometimes. Not necessarily the case with the Aviators this year, right? But I believe his last 2 starts had games with a couple of different lead changes in it. Had that tonight, obviously. But when he left the mound originally, he was in line for the loss. So I guess he probably looks at the no decision as a win for him.
Whenever I hear you talk about like how pitchers have a shaky record like that, and like they're actually pitching well, I always think of Felix Hernandez when he won the Cy Young, Seattle. I mean, that was one of those rare cases where it was like
Felix still gives me nightmares.
He gives everybody nightmares. Like, yeah, he was just one of the, like, of course, he was just one of those guys that was just killing it, but just on a terrible team. Like, somebody like, you know what, I'm not gonna do that. Not this Thursday. I'm not gonna do that to you.
Say it.
Like Mike Trout, okay? You know, like just, great player on a bad team,
That was very unnecessary.
I know. That's why I stopped myself. That's why I want to take it there. But you told me to take it.
You know what's interesting? I sat here and in my mind, that's why I looked at you the way I did, because in my mind I was like, USC, Pacers. I was like, where is he going with this? And we're talking baseball, and it still never registered. That was unnecessary.
I'm sorry. I want to bring up the other guy. I know it's still too early. That's a sensitive topic. I'm not going. All right, let's move on. We was talking Aviators. How about those Athletics, man? Let's take it that way. Let's take it that way.
Excuse me. Lord Jesus. Anywho, Vegas as of right now, it still sits atop the PCO West with an 8-4 overall record. They're a game behind the overall lead in the PCL. Pardon, guys. 3 games left remaining in this El Paso series before the team returns to Las Vegas Ballpark on Tuesday. On Tuesday, the Sugarland Space Cowboys of the Houston Astros organization will be in town. Again, a lot of these different big league organizations will be here in Vegas at some point in 2028. Las Vegas Stadium Authority actually came out recently. I believe they came out 2 days ago and said that they are set to break ground on the A's new stadium here in Las Vegas in June. As I've mentioned before, construction is set to take 3 years at this point. right? They're building a resort next to it. You got to make money in the off season. You got to have somewhere to house all the people that are going to travel. I do think the rise in stadium costs continuing to happen. I do think it's interesting. I do think the tariffs are interesting. I do think the ownership group is interesting. I think all of this is interesting for multiple reasons.
First off, rest in peace to Tropicana. I mean,
You got memories of the Tropicana?
no, I don't.
All right. So what are we doing here?
Not really. No.
I don't think I had the Tropicana pool was all right, but I don't. No disrespect to the Trop. Somebody here from Vegas is probably listening. Like, you guys are disrespecting the Tropicana. I have no real tie to the Trop.
Yeah, no, I drive past and go to Excalibur if I did anything. So, and that, I don't think the Excalibur has too much longer in this town.
That might say more about you than the Trop. You chose to go to Excalibur? Excalibur smells like pennies, Bengay, and cigarettes.
It does. I was going with friends. This wasn't a choice of mine.
Says a lot about them too. I wasn't with that group, just so you know. I just want to let y'all know I wasn't with them.
Hey man, but anywho,
I'm telling Dez, boy,
just being in that spot, like we talk about it all the time, like just the location of all these stadiums. It's so interesting seeing where they're all placed. Like, I feel like the only two stadiums in this town that make sense are Las Vegas Ballpark,
facts,
T-Mobile Arena.
Facts. There's only two. You don't consider Thomas and Mack because it's on the. First of all, and you know better than anybody. There's college arenas and stadiums that aren't on campus.
Yeah,
Vegas could have been one of those. Vegas isn't. Well, Vegas was in terms of the football stadium, both times actually in terms of football stadium, but the Thomas and Mack is one of those, right? I do think it's kind of positioned well in the city, considering when you get off the freeway, you get past Allegiant now, which is the first thing you see. You get past some of the hotels, you see what you see, right? Now, I kind of agree with you in terms of the ballpark. I didn't think you were going to say T-Mobile Arena. But here's the issue with being in a place like Vegas where everything is centralized. I had a conversation, and this is a radio conversation, so hopefully this doesn't. How do I want to do this? I was on Clubhouse, right? And they had a conversation. We're having a conversation, and essentially the basis of the conversation was which of these places had like one set place to centralize. And somebody brought up Texas. And I said, Texas is, you never gonna get nothing negative out of me from Texas, about Texas rather. But where's the one spot where you can catch the most people in terms of Texas? I think even if I narrowed it down and I said Dallas, you might not know, right? But I would assume in Dallas, like there is one area where you can catch a lot of people. I said in terms of Vegas, the answer is clear. And you could ask somebody who's never been to Vegas. You could ask somebody who just learned about Vegas last week. The Strip is the Strip. These teams are treating it as such. So the Aces Arena where it is, right? It's in a hotel, it's in a casino, it's in a hotel, or it's in a hotel rather. Right past the casino. I would assume that the Aces are going to get their own building eventually too. I could be wrong, but I would think that one would be off away from the Strip because it's probably going to be closer to their headquarters, which is in Henderson, which is closer to the Raiders headquarters. There is a weird attraction to the Strip. I shouldn't say weird, right? But there is. There's a weird attraction to the Strip because of the aura. I've said this a million times, and hopefully I can get a chance to talk to somebody this season within an organization. I would like to know about the Rio prospect because I still feel like you get what you want in terms of the backdrop. Maybe you don't have New York as your backdrop, but you still could have the Strip as your backdrop.
The Rio point is interesting because
I'm not dropping it.
I think.
The Rio that made all types of renovations, and I'm over here like blow it up.
Yeah, no, because everybody assumed that's where the baseball stadium was gonna go, but the Reno just got to survive Vegas getting an NBA team, because if we get an NBA team, I think down goes the Rio, because I feel like that'd be another spot that actually makes sense.
Y'all gonna be mad, but the Orleans. I love the bowling at the Orleans, but that's a prime spot. I'm just saying.
No, chill.
I'm just saying. And then the NIT is played there, so you could make sure that you know, it'd still be a basketball arena. It'd just be there. I think it makes sense. And trust me, I go bowling there in South Point for the most part. Shout out to Red Rock because theirs is legit too.
Thanks.
But you know what's funny? If you're from Vegas or you live in Vegas, you know the 3 bowling alleys that I just named are 3 completely different experiences.
Absolutely. 110%. 110%. Hold on. Yeah, he said the Orleans,
South Point and Red Rock. Oh my God. Which one is the best experience? Never mind.
When was the last time I went bowling in South? You know what? I ain't even gonna get into that.
South Point got the cheapest bowling.
They do, but you know,
I like South Point. I'll be in South Point bowling at 2 a.m. I'm so dead ass.
You know, for all y'all that got the experience in Texas, that was really the place to be. That was really the place to be.
I heard so many foul things about Texas Station.
Texas Station was the place to be. I'm talking about. They had a steakhouse. They had an oyster bar.
Hey,
they had the movie theater. They had the arcade. They had a bowling alley. They had conference rooms. If you needed a squabble outside, they had that.
Got parking area. Where is this at? Because I want to write this down and make sure I get this, because I want to do a poll damn near.
A big garage. If you ain't have enough.
If y'all were eating the oysters at Texas Station, I just want to lay out on you. That's it. Nothing crazy. I just want to see you, because if you're anything like this one over here, it makes sense. It makes all the sense in the world.
I didn't eat the oysters. They had some fire gumbo there. It was cool. Gumbo was straight. Okay, all right. I'm not gonna let Terrell do this right. I'm not gonna let him do this right now. Okay. Oh yeah, they had the Austin Steakhouse in there too.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Rest in peace to the Texas man.
Oh my Lord.
For all my Vegas locals, man. That was that was real heartbreaking. The pandemic took that one down, but you know, hey,
God.
And if Texas wasn't enough for you, go across the street to the Fiesta, and you can do ice skating too. So you know, Vegas will never be the same. But back to these.
You didn't even say Sunset. You said Texas.
Yes.
You went straight to Texas Station.
I'm from the north, so you know.
I feel it. I hear you. By the way, Floyd Mayweather's first professional fight. You want to know where it was?
At Texas
Station.
That's right.
Yeah, man. By the way, I had a plan, and now that it's gone, I'm still gonna kind of do it. But I had this plan, and I actually talked to somebody within the team about it, low key. I had this plan to do an interview with Floyd, and I was like hell bent on the location being Texas Station. First question was gonna ask Floyd, "Why are we here?" And I feel like Floyd would have been like, "Nigga, this is where I had my first profile." Like, I was hoping that he would be able to kind of tap into that, right? So I'm talking shit, but shout out to the Texas Station for a couple of different reasons. Not the oysters. I'm having way too much fun.
They had a buffet too. Shout out to the buffet.
You picked the oysters.
No.
That's what you said.
I said they had.
I didn't make it up.
I said they had an oyster bar. Okay.
So was it buffet style?
No. They had an oyster bar down the way, and then they had the actual buffet on the other side.
So they limited you on the. I just want to know. I want to know how it worked. That's it.
If I went to the buffet, like the buffet was separate from the oyster bar.
Okay.
It was two different. And
you had to pay for it separately, like the salad bar at Shakey's, right?
Yeah. No, it was two total different establishments. You know, you got the actual buffet, then you got the oyster bar, and you go down further, then you got Austin Steakhouse, total different establishment. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like I've gotten something from there. I'm a steakhouse guy, so like I'll find a steakhouse.
Austin Steakhouse, it was pretty good. I'm not gonna say it was top tier, but
of course it was at the Texas Station.
All right, let's move on. Cause I'm not gonna make no Cali jokes. I told myself today I'm not gonna make no LA Cali jokes today.
I am. All right. So real quick, some things you just don't want to know in life. So y'all know I don't listen to every radio show, like every podcast. I can't do that, but I listen to a decent amount, and a lot of times it be clips sometimes, right? I'll be honest. Have you seen that clip? First of all, I feel like I've sent it everywhere. Have you seen that clip of Cameron talking about Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles?
No.
So, while I gather my bearings, why you look like you happy? You're smiling.
I love Roscoe.
I see teeth.
Black man can't smile.
Call it what you want. I see what you're doing there, and at this point, I don't care. No, the answer is no. The answer is no. When I'm talking about Roscoe's or the city, no. You let me talk about Texas Station. You don't get to talk about Roscoe's. Anyway, he was talking about Roscoe's, and he was like, when y'all West Coast niggas talk about Roscoe's and y'all XYZ, da-da-da-da. Cool. He said, I'll let you guys have it because you're right. It is a West Coast staple. Da-da-da-da. He said, I just want you to know some people from Harlem own it. Cameron's uncle owns Roscoe's.
Well,
now I feel like I'm hating on somebody's business plan because I was like, now we got to buy it from them. Like, somebody got to go get it now. Because why the hell? Fire establishment. Kudos to him. Some things I wish I just never knew, dog.
It makes me love New York a little bit more now. You know, I'm not going to lie.
Didn't make you love Nevada no more. You want to play this game? You want to go back and forth? You want to do this? You want to do this? Hey, and I'm somebody that goes to Roscoe's and don't even get the waffles. So
me either, man. You know what I'm saying? Like
people call me weird.
I like the gravy with the potatoes, and you know what I'm saying.
Oh, you eating Thanksgiving dinner at Roscoe's? You want one of those?
You know what I'm saying? I only been there once. I was like in high school. No, like it was a long time ago.
I'm sorry. One more time.
I've only been to Roscoe's one time.
Say it one more time with the camera on you.
I don't go to LA all the time, bro.
Like, you probably shouldn't.
Because I told you I go to Dago. You know what I'm saying? No offense to you guys, but.
I took the camera off him, but he waved us off. I took the camera off, but he waved us off. So y'all not gonna believe me, but he waved us off.
I would never do that, guys. I love LA. Shout out to the
y'all don't even believe that
Kings. Oh, okay, the Ducks.
He's playing with
the Clippers.
He's playing games today. He's playing games today. Next thing was probably coming out of his mouth was the Chargers. So I see what he's doing. I'm not gonna let him get to me. Speaking of, I know we started this conversation by talking about the A's in their ballpark. To be quite honest with you, I'm gonna be completely honest, and I'm gonna have the conversation with whoever I need to have a conversation with. I told you guys a month ago. Maybe a little bit more than a month ago, it was done. Like, for everybody that was like, well, we don't want the A's here, it was done, right? And then the more and more I think, 3 years in Sacramento is 3 years in Sacramento. And then I saw the stadium go up in December. The pricing of the stadium go up in December. And now I'm looking at the groundbreaking possibly in June. This has caused me to wake up one day, hear some stuff. And as I said before, maybe 2 months ago, this thing is done. And then there are some times that I wake up and I go, why does this feel like it's in the air? So even if I'm able to sit down with somebody this season, right? And I know what last season was, things change. The quicker I'm able to sit down with somebody this season, and let's just say, because I kind of know what I'm going to get, let's just say that the person I sit down with is like, nope, Vegas is the spot. This is where we're going. Sacramento will be home for 3 years. We're coming to Vegas 2028, new beginnings, yada, yada, yada. Right? Cool. Why does this feel so unsure? I've never seen a relocation feel more unsure than this. Matter of fact, I have. Remember when Tampa Bay was saying that remember when the Rays were saying that they were going to move out of Tampa Bay? And then that one just felt weird. ultimately they never went anywhere. This one feels like that one. Part of me feels like by the end of this, and this is my gut. I keep telling you guys what I've told you guys. My reporting is this is done. It's happening. My gut tells me at least twice a week. I don't know.
Yeah, it's looking a little shaky. I mean, you're not wrong to question it because I mean, like the entire transition, like them not being able to get a stadium in Oakland, just between them and the city, just in ownership, just not being able to work something out. And now they're kind of okay. They kind of say, "All right, you know what? We're gonna go to Vegas. We don't have a stadium yet for you guys." Okay, all right. You know what?
We didn't even know how I was gonna get paid for it to begin with.
What? We had all types of questions. What stadium? Wait. How you gonna get out here? Y'all just pulling up. You know when
The Raiders was like, you can't play here.
I said, been there, done that.
Mark came out fast. Hey, real quick, I know you guys didn't ask, but they can't play here. Just wanted to let you know.
Like, man,
that's like when you tell a family member you going through something, they be like, man, that's crazy. My couch is full. But I mean, I think that you should probably go and get some. Did you just tell me your couch was full?
That's exactly where I was going. I was about to say, like, right now, like the A's like that cousin. Hey man, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna be pulling up on the 14th. Hold on, wait.
That's not good for me.
Wait, when? Ooh, it's crazy. I actually got a vacation that week.
I gotta walk my fish.
That's how we kind of look at the A's like, wait, whoa. Hold on. 10 seconds. And see, now they got to go stay at their friend house for a few years. And then they might have to stay at their friend house if they don't come with no rent for us. So they got to find the rent money before they pull up the 702. Because if not, they got to stay a couple hours above the bay. Sorry, guys. Not me. It's got to come with the funds.
I don't make the rules. Did I have this conversation with you? Who was on the show on Monday? I told you guys all these days are running together. You guys are probably, if you guys watch the show, you guys are probably sitting at home like, he was on the show with you. It was Salim. And Salim brought up something that I thought was interesting. He was saying it's not a pit stop for anybody else but the executives. Like, that's the pit stop. And he was saying, like, as a player, like, I've said this before, we don't know what the team looks like in 2028 when they get here. I seen the projected lineup for what 2028 looks like at the ballpark recently and was like, I don't know. I looked at a lot of the young guys and it's mad talent on the roster. I just don't know. 3 years from now, who knows what happens, right? The issue for me becomes, like Salim and I talked about on Monday, if I'm Brent Rooker, who just signed that new contract, I'm spending 162 games playing this baseball season, not including playoffs if we get there. 81 of these will be played from Sacramento for the next 3 years. So I'm playing over 240 home games over the next 3 years. I'm buying a house. Or I'm in a house. I'll put it that way, right? I don't know what happens with Mark Kotsay. I'm super happy Mark Kotsay is here right now because I said it before. If they would have fired Mark Kotsay, you didn't really put him in the spot to succeed to begin with. So let him try to build something there, right? And lo and behold, he's building it. I think this is where the Knights. I think this is where the Athletics are for the next 3 seasons. They lost 2 of their last 3 home games against the Padres, so they lost that series. They're 1-5 at home this season. Anytime I write about it, respectfully, I say at home with quotations. Maybe I'm pretty sure I'm gonna stop soon, but there's a feel to it. And that's why I want to have the conversation with somebody in that clubhouse about how they're working to make that feel like home. When you watch the games, obviously I haven't been to one yet. When you watch the games, there's just this feel that, as I said before, it's the Chargers in Carson. I talked to some people back home around that time, and they was like, "Fam, they could give me Charger tickets. I'm not going." So, as long as that's going to be the situation, I don't think, like I said before, I don't think the city of Sacramento is gonna flail on this group because they want a team. Whether this is supporting the local group versus like a homegrown fan base, like we know the Coliseum provided, I don't know what the product looks like on the field. If this team ended up around 500 at home and ended up plus 10 on the road, it wouldn't shock me. If they had a better road record than home record over the next 3 seasons, it wouldn't shock me.
I think that Chargers point was a good point, like, because the A's, when you think of the A's, you're always going to think of Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about how many years it took people to stop saying the San Diego Chargers.
Facts. Oh, that's a great point.
It took people so long to stop saying, because they belong in San Diego. That's
Still do.
They honestly, yes, they still do. Like, but you know, I actually got to catch a game there, seeing Phillip Rivers play. When they, never mind, it's trauma.
No comment.
I'm not gonna take it there.
People, when I was at UNLV, people thought, and the funny thing is, this is why you need to go back and listen to yourself. People used to always tell me, like, "Boy, you hate Phillip Rivers," and I was like, "I don't hate Phillip Rivers. I don't really care, but I don't hate Phillip Rivers." I went back and listened, and I was like, "You sound like you hate Phillip Rivers. Like, you sound like you got a personal beef with Phillip Rivers." I didn't. I just didn't think that he, you know, like we said before about this quarterback tier, right? I feel like it's harder to identify now. I feel like last generation, I was looking at the generation of quarterbacks and was like, yeah, one of these is not like the other, and it's probably 17. So people looked at me like I was a hater because of that take.
I'm a Phillip Rivers hater. I'll be the one to say it. So
he said, "I'll gladly do it."
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, like, they just, like, Chargers don't belong in LA. And I feel like at a certain point, we're going to look up and be like, why are the A's in Sacramento? And now, granted, when they come to Vegas, I feel like it's going to be kind of up in the air. Same thing with the Raiders. Everybody's always like, same thing was like the Raiders, they belong to Oakland. They belong to Oakland. If not, like,
I back away from that Raider point. I'm pretty sure I made that point at some point early on in the move. I backed away from it because Vegas is Sin City. Vegas is Vices. The Raiders are everything that the rest of the league kind of looks at it, and they're kind of like, we might not want to be like those guys. I feel like the other 49 states look at Vegas and be like, or look at Nevada and be like, if we're not going to be like anything, we're not going to be like them. So
yeah,
I think it fits.
Yeah, but like, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, over the course of time, like, even when people had questions about it, when they finally got here, everybody was just like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. And, like, you know, the city kind of embraced them and everything. And I feel like the A's are gonna kind of have to, like, go through that period once they get out here as well too. In terms of Sacramento, it's just weird. It's just weird. It's weird. It's weird. Like, I can't really explain, like, what that is right now. Granted, it's their first year, but it's like you said, team's not great right now. Not sure what it's gonna look like in a few years, and it's just, yeah. Like, in terms of ownership, like, I'm really curious as to where, like, their head is at with this whole situation, like, moving forward. Like, granted, you know, they're preparing to move out here, about to break ground. Okay, it all sounds good.
I wish I had the Jeopardy theme music.
2028.
It's a long time. That's all I keep saying. I don't mean to be, and I hate to be this guy. Do you see any A's branding around the city? Do you see any A's ads around the city? Do you see any A's billboards around the city? Do you see any green anything in the city?
No. And it's so interesting because you felt that coming with the Aces. You felt that coming with the Golden Knights. You felt it with the Raiders.
I can't speak to the Golden Knights, but everything else I can speak to for the most part.
I just like I remember seeing Golden Knight stuff in stores before. Like I think it was like once they finally officially announced the team was coming out. I like seen Golden Knight shirts at Walmart and stuff like
That's
that.
hard.
So like just like seeing like how big the team is now. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But
It does make sense. That's the one that feels like a homegrown product.
no, absolutely. So like with the A's now, it's just like even once they blew down the Tropicana and like they had that little drone show and like showed the A's. So
People booed.
yeah, everybody was
People booed. Somebody, I'm not gonna laugh, but I was standing. I was at New York, right?
Mhm.
And I was with a group of people. We're watching. When the A's logo popped up, the person I was with, she was like, "Boo!" When it went away, it got quiet, and I love heckling, right? And she was like, "Bring back the Trop," and I thought that was the funniest thing in the world because I was like, she would rather rebuild that damn hotel than have to deal with the A's. And again, like I said before, I don't think the A's are that bad of a team, right? I think people have questions about the ownership group. And I think that's where a lot of the negativity kind of comes from. But I don't know if you want to walk your team into this territory either.
yeah, like it's I feel like you're fighting for space now because Vegas is becoming a sports town.
Oh, real quick, let me counter argue that before you even finish the full point, because hopefully then you can finish all the points. Do you feel like the NBA team is gonna have to deal with the same thing?
No.
All right, never mind. Continue your point, because that was mine.
Yeah, like I just feel like especially like if you're on the lower end of attention in the city in terms of sports now.
Running Rebels.
Exactly. They didn't have to fight for that position like in the past. Like, but think about it. We got minor league teams, we got pro teams. Like we got more pro teams coming. Like it's just it's it's too many tiers. You got the Golden Knights, got the Silver Knights, you got the Thrill, you got the Nighthawks, you got the Aviators, you got UNLV
You got the Desert
basketball, football,
Dogs.
Desert Dogs. Like
Damn, you just named at least 3 teams that I completely forgot about.
and that is my point exactly. Now, grant
Not to mention you have UFC at the Apex like twice a month.
you know what I mean? Yeah,
You got boxing matches.
UFC and boxing ran the city before anything else. So it's like bringing it.
Keep in mind, the baseball team is going to have to deal with Summer League too. Now,
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that Summer League is drawing 50,000 because it's not, but that ballpark will have certain days when Cooper Flag is in the building. You won't have to deal with Cooper Flag, obviously, right? But you get the point, right? When the Cooper Flags and the Zions and Alonzos are playing on, there will be 20,000 people inside of the Thomas and Mack, and that's just going to be what it is. If you guys are hosting the Orioles, congratulations on your 29,000. It's just going to be what it is.
Yeah, so it's tough. I'm curious as to like what their position is going to be in the long run. If and when they do actually get out here, but that's not a team people are excited for. I feel like the Raiders came in with a built-in fan base. Like, granted,
They did.
because people look at that team as a California team, and I feel like people kind of look at the A's as a California team as well too. But Raider Nation is so big, and Raider Nation was already big in Vegas, and like it's so many people from Cali who like moved out here. Like, but granted, a lot of people that move out here from Cali, like they're usually
Packer fans. Oh,
oh,
my bad. I just tried to take a stab in the dark. My fault. I was just trying to.
it's keeping the baseball.
My fault.
Usually Dodgers fans,
Okay.
or Giants fans.
Oh, damn.
And
you want to say Stanford baseball before the Angels? What else you want to say?
And then on the back end, you got the Angels and
Cal State Fullerton. I know.
Cal State Fullerton might.
No, they're higher than us. They're 100% higher than us, and that's why I said it.
Great baseball program.
100%. Round of applause for it.
But it's still hook 'em. But yeah, there's a into it. It's like those are the back end teams, like in terms of baseball. So it's kind of it's weird. It's weird for the A's. Like I don't know. Like the Moneyball team is coming to Vegas.
You know what I think they need to do? You can't. Well, you can, but you can't dip your toe into the next relationship while still in your last one. That's why I said you can, but you can't, right? Yes, this may affect how far the city of Sacramento goes for you. You know what I would do if I was a part of that ownership group in with the A's, and I wanted to endear myself to the city? I'm not waiting until 2027 or 2028 to start community work out here. I'm starting now. We're hosting things now. We're getting a youth group out to Sacramento to see a game now. We're building that community now. There's a reason why the community hasn't opened up to the city or to the A's. Maybe they feel like the A's haven't opened up to the city.
Taking a page out of the Golden Knights book. I mean that's not a bad idea whatsoever. I mean, like the presence that the Golden Knights got, like outside of just what they do on the ice, like just the presence within the community. Like I'm talking about people. I know people who have never even been interested in hockey, and like they're fully engaged with the team. So it's like just seeing the impact and presence they had, and
they just had a free gas day.
Exactly.
I got sent the notification and was like, free gas. A minute now. You are lucky I live by Nellis Air Force Base. Anyway, the A's are 5-8 on the year. As I mentioned, they're 1-5 at home. They are currently tied for last in the AL West, along with the fellow 5-8 Seattle Mariners. Houston is 5-7 through the first 12 games of the season. Like I said, we play 162 of these, so you know who's counting. Got 150 more of these, but I do want to say rest in peace. First of all, rest in peace to anybody that was killed in that rooftop collapse in the Dominican Republic. I just want to talk about how the news, how valuable the news is. I'm reading this and I'm scrolling through, and it originally says that 58 were killed. Then it says 113 reported dead. Then it says at least 124 people have died. Then it goes up to 220. Ultimately, I believe the number is then it was 218, and now ultimately I think the number is 224 in terms of the death toll in that rooftop nightclub collapse. Over 255 have been reported injured. Among those who are no longer here, the three names that I keep seeing pop up: former major leaguers Tony Blanco and Octavio Dotel, as well as the sister of Nelson Cruz, Nelsie Cruz, are among those who are no longer here following that tragic collapse in the DR. Not much to say aside from just prayers for the DR. Couldn't imagine it. Just praying for the families, praying for the community, praying for the owners, praying for every teammates, family, friends, associates, colleagues. Definitely not something I was expecting to see when I was in the bar working one night. Looked up and kind of was trying to follow the news kind of as my night was going. Definitely just heartbreaking. Definitely a heartbreaking situation.
Yeah, there's not too much to say about that one, man. Yeah, tough situation. I just heard about that story like earlier this morning, and it was just like, yikes, man. Yeah, you just hate to see situations like that. You know, just a lot of lives lost. You know, a lot of people just out trying to have a good night, and then
And this is just radio talk, right? Obviously, we've mentioned the severity of the situation, and this is not to make light of the situation at all. We obviously appreciate you guys for coming to us for your news, and obviously you guys coming to us for laughs too. But when I said I couldn't imagine it, I can't speak for everybody, right? And one of the things that people have told me on my pod, they was like, you got to stop saying like we all, because not everybody has that. I believe a lot of us, most of us, let me not say most, damn, a lot of us, some of us may have stories of you being in a club or you being at a house party or you being somewhere where the party may have gotten to a certain level and you kind of felt the floor and was like, this doesn't feel right. Over under 10 minutes before you stopped caring again and you go right back to enjoying whatever it is. So that always sticks with me when situations like this kind of happen, because people, it's human nature, but people love to hear things like this and be like, well, what were they doing, and try to start condemning people that are no longer here, dancing their nights away. Explain that. They were out having a night on the town. Now we're here. Again, tragic situation. Prayers and blessings to the families, to everybody affected by this situation. I know Major League Baseball is going to do something. I shouldn't say I know at this point, but the severity of this, I could absolutely see Major League Baseball doing something. At the very least, the teams that these players played for. Again, rest in peace to over 200 people that were affected by this directly. About 15 minutes into the second hour of the Talk That Talk radio show, I'm your host, Terrell Chatterbox Emerson. That's Markel Collins. We have, like I just said before, a little under 44 minutes remaining in the show. The rest of the show is our typical Thursday show. It's our hoop talk, right? I actually have a couple of minutes of UNLV talk really quick. Just some things to update you guys on. Another running Rebel not only entered the transfer portal, as we mentioned before, but is now leaving the program. Pop Njai is headed to Xavier. This is what's so interesting about Kevin Kruger's years, right? Kruger brought in some guys from some places that people didn't expect, right? And then when Kruger leaves, guys leave and elevate to programs that people may not have expected. If anybody had Pop Njai going to the Big East on their bingo card, show me, you liar. And the fact that he's going to the Big East is only another feather in his cap, but also a feather in Kevin Kruger's cap.
Yeah, it's definitely big for Kevin. I'm kind of interested to see where Kevin lands, whether it's an assistant or.
You still got to pay me, so I'm going to chill.
hey,
I'm going to sit for a little bit.
I don't blame him. You know what I'm saying? Hey, catch all those UNLV checks. Go ahead. You know,
everybody not finna be like Matt Rule and go get a job right away. If I'm Kevin, I'm going to be like, you know what? Let me see what this radio gig got for me. Man, what? I'm teaching classes. At this point, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying myself.
I mean, yeah, you know, he's obviously familiar with City, went to school out here. Dad coached out here. I mean, he's coached out here as well too. I mean, he's pretty much his second home. So, yeah, I mean, you know, it's this whole Josh Pastner era. It's extremely early, but it's kind of interesting to see like where things go. Didn't they just sign somebody else too?
UNLV?
Kid from Africa, or
yes. If you want the name, I would need a second.
Yeah, but I just feel like, you know, we.
I was about to say I haven't heard of too many signings at all, so I'm happy that you brought that up.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, you know, because
Emmanuel Stephen.
There we go. Yeah, so he definitely wanted to get to work early. So, you know, just having that first signee right there, I feel like that's going to get the ball rolling. You know, granted, the season just officially ended, so I feel like you're going to start to see things in the portal really start to move around now. But
players got to go somewhere, and I don't want to be this guy. This. I wasn't here when Marvin Menzies got hired, right? Maybe I should reach out to Marvin. This feels a lot like Josh Pastner is building a basketball program. That's what it feels like. I can't remember who tweeted it. Damn, this would have been a That's Out There Now. Somebody tweeted possible targets for UNLV men's basketball in the portal. It's like 12 names. Like 60 to 70% of those names are elsewhere already. So just from that standpoint, I've said it before. I said this program feels like it's behind. That's why when you just said the season just ended, I looked at you like, okay. Didn't stop other schools. UNLV feels like UNLV would be left with, and this is going to sound like a shot at the team next year, but this is what it feels like. It feels like UNLV is going to be left with the remaining players. I don't know what that looks like. 2 or 3 games in the conference play, you looked at this group and you went, they're starting to get it. They're starting to get to know each other. They're about 10, 12 games in. Okay, it's starting to click. And now you're in conference play. Now you're figuring out who you guys are in game 13 and 14, and these teams been playing together for 2-3 years. How are you supposed to combat that? I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. UNLV's cycle for the basketball program, for the men's basketball program, let's just say it's a 4-year cycle. I think we might have just started over.
We're going to find out how good of a coach Josh Pastner really is. He definitely has a track record, but especially this first season, like we really going to see how good he is, because I kind of agree with you. I think they are going to kind of get left with whatever is out there. Like losing DJ, everybody know that was like the biggest piece. But Jaden Henley, that was the move for me. Like
you lost Bear. Julian Rishwain is gone.
Graduated. So it's like who's really coming back that was in the rotation. And mind you, it was really like the rotation was
7 people.
8 deep. 8 deep on a good night. How many of those did they have? So it's so UNLV, it's gonna be an interesting one next year. I don't really have like any type of expectations for them next season, but I just want to see improvement. What is improvement for them? I'm gonna let you.
Let's just go back to 20 wins. Let's go back to 20 regular season wins. No disrespect to Kevin, because Kevin does have a 20 win season in there. Got some postseason wins to get there. Again, nod to Kevin. 20 regular season wins. Let's do that. Marvin Menzies did it a couple of years, or damn, doesn't feel like a couple anymore. Almost 10 years ago now. When you say it out loud, you'd be like, damn, 10 years ago? Because that was 2017, so that's 8 years ago.
Ooh. That's crazy you said that, because
I'm almost 10 years removed from my first step on this campus.
That's crazy, because I was recently looking back. I was like, where's Dave Rice at now?
Did you get an answer?
I think he's an assistant coach somewhere, like Rio.
Probably winning games.
Let's not talk about that. That's assistant.
I mean, hey man, like I said, the last 3 head coaches that they fired with a winning record was Daddy Kruger, Baby Kruger, and Dave Rice. So, the last 3 coaches at UNLV, or the last 3 coaches with a winning record at UNLV, I should say, that left the program for one reason or another, or was asked to leave the program for one reason or another. We've talked a lot about the men's team losing players, right? This one is a little bit different because I think this one significantly affects next season. Amarachi Kempson has committed to Miami, and she will be a Hurricane. Lindy LaRock told me last season, and you guys are witnesses. I've come in here and said it on the show that Kiera's our point guard. Kiera's our heart and soul. Kiera's our senior, whatever the case may be. She also talked about having 2 lead guards. I have Kiera. I have Amarachi. One's not, or both of them are not going to be out the game at the same time. Kiera graduates. Amarachi is headed to the ACC. Lindy is going to have to figure out not only a new lead guard, Tegan Colvin, whether it's Macy Spencer, obviously a shooter, right? Actually, and Macy Spencer is actually in the transfer portal, so we'll see what happens there, right? So I think the biggest difference for this group is going to be the 2-year jump, right? From having Desi last season, well, I guess now we can say 2 seasons ago, to whatever the group looked like last season when I said that they was missing Alyssa Durazo-Frescas, her 3-point shooting. Macy Spencer provided that, right? She provided a form of that, right? The bigs were shooting whatever they were shooting, but she provided a form of it. They never really replaced Alyssa Durazo-Frescas' shooting. So if you lose Macy Spencer and you still haven't addressed that 3-point shooting, A, you still have to address it. And B, now you're addressing your lead guard issue. C, you still have to make up for the loss of Desi 2 years removed. Again, Lindy said that when Desi left, she was excited about the prospect of having to draw up a new way to win with this group. This might be the biggest transition for this program.
Amarachi Gibson, that's somebody we talked about all season.
Oh, my
long.
God.
All season long.
A bucket.
All season long. I mean, like, you know, we talked about the nod to Kevin. That's a nod to Lindy as well, too. You know, having a player move up to the ACC. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. So, I mean, yeah. Granted, Lindy's definitely gonna have to figure some things out in terms of recruiting. You know, hitting this portal. It's just interesting for me now, like just seeing like where high school and JUCO players land now in this whole equation. Like, because it is. If you're a coach, you're like, do I go get this player who's got a college body built out, has experience, been in tough situations already, or do I go get this young freshman and try and grow and develop them and see how they end up turning out? I feel like it's going to be a case-by-case situation. Because, you know, like on the men's side, like you'll see John Calipari, he's still sticking to it. Like, I got these young guys, I'm going to stick with the young guys. But that doesn't always work in the long run, especially on the back end. Example, we just seen Florida win the national championship. Just seen UConn on the women's side win the national championship.
Yeah. Experience
matters at the end of the day. So, yeah, I'm kind of interested to see, like, how coaches go about hitting the portal, you know, for Lindy and Josh, you know. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, man. You know, college basketball, just college sports in general, it's the wild, wild west now. So can't wait to see how things shake out.
Now I have to go back and do some research and figure out how many possessions per game were led and or like initiated by Amarachi and or Kiera. You're going to lose. And I know it's not just stat-wise. It's not point-wise. It's not assist numbers, although you're losing a lot in terms of Kiera, in terms of passing the ball. There's a good portion of your offense gone just in terms of what you run. So, again, not having somebody like an Alyssa Brown to kind of be the anchor during a transition like this, like I said before, this might be the biggest thing that we might have to look back at in terms of Lindy's start of her career. Okay, this was the year after she lost all-time player for the program. No, I'm going to be the one. You're going to be able to be one of the people, too, that when we look back at Lindy's career, we'll say, hey, that second year removed after Desi left, this is going to be the one that really shows what she's about. Picked up her first postseason victory this past season. And like I said before, knowing a little bit about her and how her brain ticks, I know that she's excited to get to work about the prospect of replacing these ladies, right? You just mentioned it a second ago, Florida 2-point victory over Houston. I'm going to give you a couple of points really quick that I shared with Daryl Harris on the D Hoop University podcast. The last shot itself, I thought Daryl hit the nail right on the head. He thought it was a microcosm of the Houston season. Exactly what I said was one of their strengths last Thursday, rather, in terms of them being able to get a different guy to step up every other night. I mean, it goes back to when Baylor won their championship for me, right? If anybody can go back and say who was the star of that Baylor team, I would implore them to do so, because if you got 10 people in the room, I think you would get 10 different answers. And that's just the way that group was made up. Anybody could go out there and go give you some big time minutes, some big time points. And the way that roster was set up, somebody has 14 points. Hell, that's your player of the game. Who knows, right? So looking at it now, in terms of the Houston situation, that's all fine and dandy until you get to the last shot of the game and you're not sure who's going to take it.
In that situation, I feel like LJ Cryer got to take that shot. But I feel like they tried.
I'm sharp. I've been hidden.
Absolutely. But
you got to let me get this off.
Even then, he wasn't even having the best game, but he had his.
I almost said nobody was.
True. But like, even then, like, he had a chance to take the last shot, but you know, that was just Florida. I mean, like in the second half, Florida really turned it up on the defensive side of the ball. But you know, like, and they did a great job. Somebody I mentioned all last week, Walter Clayton Jr. You know, they shut him down in the first half.
Boy.
But granted, he had 6 assists. Like, so for him to stay engaged and, you know, he was hitting the biggest, staying engaged and locked in the game. Once he finally hit a bucket in the second half and he got that and one layup, I said, uh-oh. But like that's what I talked about last week. I said, like, it's kind of like I said, DeMar DeRozan with the Spurs. Nothing in the first half. Like why you just passing him? Boy, he's not even shooting it. Like what's going on?
Because they won't let me.
They were hounding him. Like
they forced them to play their style of basketball, which is what I think it's more impressive when the other team forces you to play their style of game and you still beat them. Mm-hmm. And I watched that game and I was like, and I missed the first 10 minutes or so of the game. Obviously, I think I was doing the show. There was a feel as long as that game went on. I was like, as long as they forced them to play their game, this is what you have it for, right? You kind of just talked about it. Walter Clayton Jr. goes scoreless for the first 25 minutes of the game. He ends the game with 11, 7, and 6. I said it on the D-Hoop pod. I mean, this is somebody that you guys are telling us is a 28th, 29th, maybe 30th pick. This is somebody who was just held scoreless for 25 minutes and was still engaged. You just said it. This is somebody that was still locked in and still damn near gave you a triple-double. This goes back to what I said before on that pod, called a law, I think, which Hoop was actually on that pod too. And we were talking about Kobe. And we talked about that game 7 in 2016. And I said, Kobe stunk that game 7. And everybody in the room looked at me like I was crazy. Respectfully, long live Bean. It's still our job to talk sports. Kobe stunk that game 7 up offensively. He stunk. There was 2 big shots hitting that game, 3 big shots hitting that game. One was an and one by Pau Gasol. Meta hit the other 2. Kobe didn't hit one. Kobe had 15 boards. Kobe had a decent game because of the boards. He stayed engaged. He stayed active. I'm still going to have my fingerprints all over this game. I'm still going to make sure that I'm a part of the decision. Walter Clayton Jr. did the exact same thing. He stunk the first half. He'll tell you. That was their game plan, to make him work for it. You guys know my baseline is usually 20 points. Can this team win if they keep him under 20 points? They did it and they still found a way to win. Florida still found a way to win. So if I'm Houston and I'm Kelvin Sampson, I'm like, hey, aside from that last shot, what more could you really ask for from the championship game? Your team played 39 minutes and 48 seconds of great basketball. Last 11.8 or whatever the hell it was, it went left. And ironically too, the last point for me, I think sports are funny sometimes. I do have a rant coming up to end the show with. I think sports are funny sometimes because, again, the story tells itself. We haven't seen or heard anything about Houston in depth over the last handful of years when they were making these runs, right? I think we all should have knew something was up when we saw the practice footage come out. And I was like, before y'all national title game is what y'all want to do? But I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Maybe somebody got it out for the program, whatever. You can call it poetic justice. You can call it whatever you want. To have everybody essentially pat you guys on the back for 48 hours, 36 hours, whatever, and tell you guys how much of dogs you were for diving on the floor and how all practices end with loose ball chases, for the national championship to end on a loose ball, and for Florida to have two guys on the ground. This is why you just don't tempt sports guys.
I feel like the moment got too big for Houston, and when you don't have a true number one guy on your team, it can come back to bite you. Now, granted, you said it like with a team like Baylor, they ended up sneaking away. But if you could point to a number one, I'd point to the one guy who's still in the NBA, Davion Mitchell. You could say he was the number.
Wasn't Jared Butler on that team?
He was, and I thought Jared Butler was better on that team specifically. But in terms of NBA, Davion Mitchell. So I feel like it's pick one or two. Pick either one of them. But yeah, Houston, I feel like that was.
I forgot Davion Mitchell was on that team, by the way.
Yeah.
So
So
kind of proves my point.
Yeah, so like it's just you can't put your team in those type of situations. But I think you got to give Kevin Simpson credit for going for the win.
That's not the point that I didn't bring up.
You got to give him credit for going for the victory. But like when they blitzed the ball twice, and then for the third option to be another three, and then Sharp goes up, tries to punt fake, loose ball, Florida wins it.
By the way, that's how I that's how I tore my Achilles too. The way that defender closed out on Sharp's three, that was dead ass the way I jumped. I was in the air like, why did you do this? I had just lost like 82 pounds too. So I was like, and the funny thing is, shout out to the homie Roman, who just had a daughter, by the way. Shout out to Rome. Rome said it about me when I came back home. Rome was laughing, and Rome was like, your ankles aren't used to you being a little man. And I was like, dog, shut up. Like, that idiot. We laughed, right? I came back out here. I went to my doctor, and I was like, yeah, my friend said da-da-da-da. My doctor was like, you don't know how close he is. I was like, excuse me? He said, essentially, when you are a certain weight, your ankles, your knees, your hips, everything gets used to carrying a certain weight. When you lose it, it's almost like a shock to the body. So he said it. He was like, when you jumped, you probably jumped a little higher than you normally do. And when you landed the way you landed, your legs weren't used to it. So the Achilles went. It made all the sense in the world. Makes that joke a million times funnier, by the way. Basketball points. We got the NBA to wrap up the show with. My dad's tip-in is on mixed martial arts. We'll end it with that. The third topic I am gonna vent and I'm gonna rant on, so I'm letting you know now. Your first time, the Dallas.
Ooh.
I'm gonna piss that man off.
Ooh. Nico, come here, sit down. Come here, sit down, Nico. Come talk to me. 48, 45,
45, I think. Hell, something a lot.
To know when you got a superstar coming back after you traded him, and to know that he's pissed that you traded him, and you throw everything at him, plus the kitchen sink, you still can't stop him. 45, 6 and 8. think it was.
Luka would have shot 20 free throws if that was my team. I wouldn't have let Luka get off 12 shots. I would have fouled him 100%.
Look, man,
Fans ain't gonna boo me in the building. Nope.
I'm a Lakers hater, and I'm happy Luka fried them.
You just an LA hater. You everything about excellence you hate. That's gotta be like
I like Clippers.
I stand on my point. Hell. That explains the Longhorn allegiance. That explains.
Hey, shout out Jay Harden, man. Kawhi, y'all doing y'all thing, man. Zubac, man. I seen that trip, dub, boy. Hey, man, go crazy out there, man. Y'all taking over LA, new arena, all that. Let's do it.
The best part about the Clippers is that they play in Inglewood. That's the best part about the Clippers. Shout out to the Wood. Now I ain't got nothing against the Clippers, but boy, you have an LA bias, and it is unbelievable.
Yeah, but Luka did his thing though. Like the Lakers, man, they starting to find it right, like at the right time. Like, granted, you insert Luka, Nico. That's obviously gonna help the team, but I don't think a lot of people got them coming out the West.
You don't think a lot of people have them coming out, or you do think?
No, I know a lot of people got them coming out the West, but I still. It's weird because like they just beat the Thunder, but I think the Thunder needed that for sure because like going in the playoffs, like they were like, nah, we the best, and then boom, yeah, Lakers come in, knock you down the peg, and you're like, okay, all right, look, we can't do what he's doing. Everybody keeps talking about like how they're interested to see how Shea plays when he doesn't get those foul calls. Like,
who said he's not gonna get them? He's not gonna get all of them.
He's not gonna get as much.
Still.
Yeah, he's not gonna get as much. Like, it's kind of like the same thing with James Harden in the playoffs. Like, you're not gonna get all those foul calls to the point to where people are playing with their hands behind their back in the playoffs.
Didn't Dwayne Wade average like 12 free throw attempts a game in 06?
D-Wade is different though, because D-Wade actually attacks the basket in a very like aggressive type manner. So yeah, no, D-Wade earned those the hard way. Now I'm talking about like all these hacky, tacky type fouls. You're not gonna get all of those in the playoffs.
The game has changed from the standpoint of D-Wade going into the paint and being dropped by Dejan Ajap, being dropped by Eric Dampier. You don't have that. Shea doesn't have that. So yeah, if I'm headed to the basket and I'm trying to get to my offhand and I feel like your hand is under my pit and I flail my arm, that is a foul. So I'm not saying that the contact has to necessarily look the same. If Shea averages 8 free throws a game, I feel like Shea has done his job still. So I'm with you from that standpoint. It's just that the numbers may go down. If you guys still stand in front of that man and he's going through his work like it's cone work, shout out to Rashad McCann. Rashad McCann said it. I remember when I was coaching my middle schoolers, they knew. As soon as I got there, I'll say this one time. I tried to break some tennis balls one day. One of my high school coaches that my middle schoolers were too young for, and I just looked at him. No, they're not. No, they are not. Give me my cones. Move. I was irritated beyond belief, right? But that goes back to repetition. As long as Shea is using the pick and roll, getting to his spots, I just talked about it earlier when I got to the elbow. Defense is sagging. This is rec basketball. They haven't seen me play before. You're gonna let me get to the elbow? Cool. I'm gonna walk into it. And that's what I did. As long as Shea is able to walk into his spots, you ain't gonna have no choice but to follow him because you can't defend him.
You saying too young? That's another question people got is like, is OKC still too young? Like we talked about the Aces and the Nighthawks earlier. Same thing with Thunder. Like, all right, cool. Y'all finally had y'all first good season last year. Okay, y'all did it in the regular season again this year. Number 1 seed. Okay, now it's the playoffs again. Can y'all do it when them lights get bright?
You think they beat the Clippers?
Yeah.
You think they beat OKC? They are OKC. You think they beat Minnesota?
Yeah, too much turn rule.
You think they beat Houston?
Yeah, Houston too wet behind the ears.
Both of them are.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I just want to see. I want to randomly throw some teams out there.
Little more than them though. But yeah, I feel like just only the Lakers are really the only team pushing them. And I would have said the Nuggets, but that whole Mike Malone situation, that's I know we're gonna talk about, but that's
Second topic on our NBA list. I mentioned Dwight Howard going to the NBA Hall of or going to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, right? Have you seen his tweet? Or his tweets rather? But he said if he had it his way, he said Kevin Garnett, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would walk him into basketball heaven. Y'all know how I feel about Shaq. Got all the love in the world for Shaq, right? Even joke with Shaq when he's out here. As a matter of fact, I seen one of Shaq's peoples recently. But there were times where, and y'all know I'm all for BS just because I want to be on BS. And nobody feels that more than Shaq. Maybe I want to pick on you because I want to just pick on you. Maybe it's fun to me. There came a point for me where I was like, damn, Shaq really got it out for Dwight. And I understood the Superman point. Even if that's the only reason for our beef, I get the point. Kenyon Martin said it before. Kenyon Martin said that George Karl started Francisco Elson during a playoff game. Okay. He started Francisco Elson. The Nuggets lose. He said game 2, George Karl said he gonna start him again. Like Kmart said, you gonna get this man slapped. It don't have nothing to do with him. You gonna make me hurt him. That seems kind of irrational, right? But I'm in this field as well. It makes sense to me a little bit. I get it. Y'all calling him Superman? Oh, beef ignited. And this is forever. And I'm with it. The problem was I'm with it until I'm not with it. Let's just be honest, right? We all say, oh, and I'm sure we have some of those situations, but we all say, oh, this is forever. This is always, it's up, it's whatever, right? I feel like when Dwight started to bounce around from team to team and Shaq was kind of pointing the finger, look at him, moving around. Like Dwight said, nigga, you didn't wear just as many jerseys as I have. So if I'm wilding, then you wilding. When Dwight became a Laker, I thought it would stop. It didn't necessarily stop. But when Dwight won a championship, I said, oh, it's going to stop. And it revved up more. And in the back of my mind, I was like, part of me feels like Shaq doesn't like the fact that when people ask the question, who is the greatest in Orlando Magic history, the answer is Dwight Howard. And I think that does get under his skin because he doesn't think Dwight is better than him. And he knows on any all-time list, he's way higher than Dwight. I think that bothers him still. But let's go back to the tweet. Dwight Howard says that. And kudos to the big fella. Because Shaq agreed to walk out Dwight Howard for his Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. So hopefully whatever that beef was is done. Congratulations to Dwight. I think that's a super dope accomplishment for him. An additional one, like he said before, being called Superman in Orlando was a goal for him. Or it was a dream for him, considering his goal was to be some sort of resemblance, to be in some sort of resemblance and conversation with the great Shaquille O'Neal. So like I said before, having been around Shaq and just been in his presence before, I couldn't imagine playing the center position and wanting to literally be like Shaq and having nothing but the big fella throw vitriol my way for 20 years. So to see this kind of take the turn it is taking, I like it. Shaq even said that that's my guy. If you know a little bit about Shaq too, I do think after the Laker championship, when I said it kind of revved up a little bit, I do think that was tongue in cheek. But because you did what you did for the first 15 years, I don't know if you're serious still. I didn't win a championship with your franchise. We supposed to be cool now. Like, it's supposed to be over. You got 4 of them things. I only got 1. I'm done. It should be over. Like, it should be over at this point. That's why I do think after the fact it was a little more tongue in cheek in terms of Shaq. But obviously, it still rubbed Dwight the wrong way. So hopefully this brings the conclusion. Speaking of conclusions, last basketball point that I have tonight. are on the head coaches getting fired. And my only point, maybe it's not as much of a rant as I thought it was. We'll see what happens. I came out last year after the season and when Mike Malone was mad about that question about the 20-0 run, right? There are some press conferences that I go into after the last game of the season, and you ask about the game. And there are some that I don't. Somebody asked Mike Malone about a 20-0 run, and he was like, it doesn't matter. Like, the season's over. Like, whether they went on a 20-0 run. The reason why that answer was crazy to me was because your season is only over because they had a 20-0 run. So that matters. But during that question, I remember being super like aggressive toward the response to that reporter. Because it's bigger than Mike Malone. There's a lot of athletes and or coaches that act that way. I'm here tonight to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. I seen a stat. My brother posted it recently. I seen a stat that said 5 of the last 7 NBA Finals champions are no longer have their coach, or 4 of the last 7 or 6 or something like that. It was Frank Vogel. It was Mike Budenholzer. It was Nick Nurse. Who just got fired? It was Mike Malone, and I feel like I'm missing one more. I'm blanking. But do you realize that it took me more time to figure out who still had their job than me going down? I could tell you everybody that was fired. Frank Vogel was the ex-Pacer. I knew that right after. I knew it. Nick Nurse knew it. Mike Malone, because it just happened, knew it. They said Budenholzer. I was like, damn, he did get fired, huh?
Mm-hmm. Bus got him out of there.
So I'm sitting here watching, and I'm like, well, damn, who stayed around? You want to give me the 2 teams that stood around, the 2 head coaches that stayed around? It's a damn shame.
Who's the Cavs coach?
Nope.
Damn.
It was Ty Lue. But nope.
Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr is one of them.
Pop.
Nope.
Eric Spoelstra.
Nope. Just won one. That's a damn shame. Because he might win a second one. The next answer is Joe Mazzulla. That's how often these head coaches are being fired. And here's where the rant comes in. I thought I wasn't going to do it. I'm going to do it. We talked about the transfer portal today. We talk a lot about the transfer portal, right? We talked a little bit about this IFL season and how it works, right? Things change fast in this world, especially in the sports world. One thing that I do not appreciate are people, or one thing I don't appreciate is people treating things that take time as if it's microwavable. So let's view this as, I don't know, let's view this as, you know what? Let's not even do it that way. Let's look at it like this. The Denver Nuggets. Before Mike Malone got there, would you say George Karl might have had the most success?
Yep.
In your franchise? Cool. He ain't win. Even when he was with Seattle, guess what he didn't do? He didn't win. Mike Malone not only wins a championship with you guys, he wins the first championship with you guys. So let's talk about the first, 30 plus years without a championship. And then 2 years removed from that first championship that it took you 30 plus years to get, you fired a guy that brought it to you. Not only do you fire him, you fired a guy that also orchestrated the team. Now, based on some of the things that I've heard, I haven't made any personal phone calls, but based on some of the reports that have come out, Calvin Booth, the GM, and Mike Malone may have been butting heads recently. Cool. there may be some validity to this. Let's talk about Nick Nurse with Toronto. Let's talk about Frank Vogel with the Lakers. Half of these firings feel like quick hire fires, if that makes sense. You guys feel like, I could swap out a Frank Vogel and bring in a Darvin Ham and do the exact same thing. Darvin Ham comes in year one. Now, this is where it gets a little messed up. Because Darvin Ham comes in year one, and with that, whatever he does the rest of his career, Darvin Ham went to the Western Conference Finals year one. What if Frank Vogel would have did that if you would have gave him another year? With all due respect to John Gruden and his championship in Tampa Bay, that is Tony Dungy's roster. My dad can text me right now if I'm wrong. Am I lying or am I wrong? Or does Barry Switzer have a championship with Jimmy Johnson's roster? Dad, text me if I'm wrong. My point in saying that is too many teams have been piss poor for too long to run into a good thing to feel like it's disposable. Denver, you should know better than anybody what down years look like.
Facts.
And what pisses me off more than anything, I was disgusted by the Mike Brown firing. You fired me 2 weeks before the playoffs and we had a 4 seed with a chance for 2? Who else just got fired the other day?
Tyler Jenkins. that one. I mean, that started the domino effect. I think what people are learning. I think what people are learning from the NBA this year is that nobody is safe, especially after that Luka trade. I feel like that kind of reset the league in the sense that
It was Barry Switzer.
like a lot of the players like think that this is a very player driven league now, but it's still ran by the GMs and owners. How many of you truly knew Nico Harrison off the top of your head
Facts.
before that trade? Not many. Now, some of you don't know. That was the same guy that botched that Nike deal with Steph Curry. Yeah, same guy.
Spelled his name wrong.
Yeah, so, I mean, players don't run the league anymore. Like, not like they think they do. And, you know, I know people got mad at Stephen A when he said this, but, you know, the way players sit out now or, like, always get injured and all that, y'all don't think the owner's going to come for y'all when it's time for a new CBA? I know it's a lot of TV money coming in and all that, but you don't think the owner's going to do something about that? Why has so many players played more games in a few seasons than Joel Embiid has played in his entire career?
Oh, Philly about to try to get from up under that contract for sure. Philly about to try to be like, hey, dog, I need 60 of them back.
You don't think the Hornets kind of scratch their head sometimes and like, love you, LaMelo, but we might need to Ja, you're electric, but you just do a little too Zion, we love you, but you just can't stay on the court and off the court. Sometimes you got other get mad at Stephen A all you want. If you think the owners ain't talking to each other and looking at players right now and questioning the way y'all moving, both on and off the court, it just amazes me because like y'all got all the medical treatment, like you know, and this is kind of where I understand why like some older and former players kind of look at the league now and be like, "What y'all complaining about? Y'all got the best trainers, y'all got the best medical staffs, y'all got the best treatment, and y'all off the court almost all the time." Now, granted, I know it's not the majority of the league, but in terms of stars, that once in a lifetime opportunity some people got to come see y'all play, and then you sitting in the suit on the bench on a random night. Now, granted, I know it's teams sometimes too.
It's in a Miri jacket, not a suit.
Exactly, with studs on it. You know, we ain't gonna do that. But like,
I almost said a player name.
my point still stands, man. Like,
good God.
Look, man. In terms of players, man, y'all got to get it together, man. Like, cause y'all like all that money and freedom y'all got. Guess what? The owners and GMs have made a point. You can get going fast. Mike Malone, you can get out of there. Taylor, you can get out of there. Luka, you can get traded.
No, you shouldn't have. We'll get to my dad's tip in right now. I'll say this. I believe Eric, if I recall correctly, I think I'm not sure if there's a coaches union or not, but if there is, I think Eric Spoelstra is the head of it. Coaches striking wouldn't stop a season, I don't think. And I know some coaches that would be like, shit, I don't want my lead assistant to sit in my seat. We might not get it back. If I'm coaches, something is happening before the following season. We're having a discussion at the very least. The way Mike Brown was fired after just conducting a practice, the way Taylor Jenkins and Mike Malone, were fired 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or 3 and 2 weeks before the postseason, while they're in postseason contention, like in the thick of it, not even playing, they're in the playoff hunt. Yeah, if I'm the coaches union, I'm absolutely sticking up for all three of those brothers. There's no way in hell y'all do that and we just show up the next year. No way in hell. My dad's sipping. I haven't talked about MMA in a while, so here we go. It goes without saying, Dana has put together another night of fight, that is sure to be exciting fights. Whether it's unbelievable knockout submissions or just two warriors beating each other up or beating each other to a pulp and letting the judges figure it out at the end of it. My dad said, hopefully we don't have too many of the last one. He said, actually, I don't mind those. I know you're a little different, but I don't mind those. I don't necessarily have to see the finish sometimes. Sometimes the fight is better. We talk about John Jones and Alexander Gustafsson won to this day. We talk about John Jones and Dominic Reyes to this day. We talk about Makhachev and Volkanovski won to this day because it wasn't. Yeah, we got a winner, but we didn't get a finish. So sometimes I like the fights a little better that way. But anyway, since former featherweight champion Ilia Topuria announced in February that he decided to vacate his title to move up a weight class to lightweight, there have been a lot of unanswered questions surrounding both the featherweight and lightweight divisions. Topuria is hoping soon to get a title match with lightweight champion Islam Makhachev, who I just mentioned, but no one is sure if Topuria will get an immediate title shot or if he will have to earn one against a lightweight contender, the likes of Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, Justin Gaethje. My dad listed a couple of them, right, among others. But my focus is on the featherweight division and their main event, especially. My biggest fear is that we have not seen former champion Alexander the Great Volkanovski's best days are past him. He put this in caps. He said, Volk is a dog. One of my favorites. I'm going to pause here. I was on a phone call with my dad when Volk and Max Holloway fought the first time. My dad and I were on the exact same boat. We got Max. Didn't work out that way. Second fight happened. We thought Max might have got robbed. I went back and watched it, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe not. Somewhere down the line, I noticed that Daniel Cormier did the exact same thing with my dad. He went from saying, well, not that I don't necessarily like him, but he's fighting somebody that I do like. It makes me kind of lean away from this person. So to hear my dad say that Volk is one of his favorites, that's where it started, right? Max is one of both of our favorites. He said, Volk is a dog, one of my favorites, but we have seen Volk go from one of the surest bets in mixed martial arts to a big question mark. That's a great point. After almost beating Makhachev in 2023, which I just mentioned, we have also witnessed him be knocked out in back-to-back fights. I hope that we are not seeing a repeat of a great champion that we have seen. One of the great champions that we've seen of late take a steep decline into oblivion. Tyron Woodley would be one, and another one that could be on that route, unless he comes back and changes that, is the last style bender, Israel Adesanya. Volk has revealed to ESPN that he has been working on his mental health and has stopped drinking alcohol well before the start of camp and has been ahead of schedule in terms of his weight cut. He says that he wants to go out and prove that he can beat this new school of fighter. I hope that we see that Volk of old this Saturday night. And of course, he's fighting Diego Lopez. Not sure if anyone will be cheering more for this gladiator than me. Shout out to my dad for that tip in. We went over about 5 minutes for the radio show. We appreciate you guys. We purposely did that considering we started about 3 or 4 minutes late. We appreciate you guys. As always, I thank you guys. That's Markel. I'm Terrell. Your Thursday installment of the Talk That Talk radio show. Until next time, gang.